Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to join my colleagues in expressing support for the motion before the Honourable House. I think, Mr. Speaker, this is yet again an attempt by this government to ensure that we use public policy, and particular economic policy, to ensure that we can provide relief to the working people of this country. But more than just the working people of this country, Mr. Speaker, from the list of items, you will see some items that are included that go beyond the staples of ordinary working people. And therefore, the items which are contained in this resolution shows a government that cares about all the sectors in this country. And Mr. Speaker, I will come back to the imperative for us to take such action and the context in which we are taking such action. But I believe, Mr. Speaker, you will tolerate my attempt to respond to a number of items which were raised by the Leader of the Opposition during his presentation. And more so, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you'll understand, as the Minister of Responsibility for those substantive matters, I should be afforded the opportunity to provide some clarity on some of them, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, I want to start off with the issue of the visit of the Nigerian president. And the Leader of the Opposition started off by saying that this week was an extraordinary week, and how a dog was killed and was murdered. And I'm sure the Prime Minister will respond to that appropriately. And he went on to speak about some instances of crime in this country. But the week was notable for other reasons, Mr. Speaker. It was a week which brought a large measure of shame on our country. And it was shame that was brought upon by the Leader of the Opposition and his surrogates. And teasingly, we have said to the member from Srozelle, Saltibus, of our disappointment in him. Because for an individual that we all know, and those of us that know him very well, knows that he is a person of a certain conviction, Mr. Speaker. And it was quite disappointing to see that he was not even brave enough on this occasion, Mr. Speaker, to openly disassociate himself with the actions, Mr. Speaker, of his party. And not necessarily to condemn his party. He could do that if he wanted to and if he was brave enough. But at least not to be seen to be associating with the attempt to denigrate and to demean, Mr. Speaker, the African continent and people of African descent and African heritage, Mr. Speaker. And it is my opinion, Mr. Speaker. He may not agree with my opinion.
Member for Srozelle Saltibus.
My opinion.
Mr. Speaker, the member is misleading the House, Mr. Speaker, because I never thought he would have gone there, because he made a statement earlier, in your absence, that I got an opportunity to greet the Nigerian president, which I did not. And I told the member specifically that I met you, Mr. Speaker, in the corridor, and you asked me, your specific was, where is Alan? And I told you where he was, and I'm not sure what happened afterwards, Mr. Speaker. I was not informed by the Parliament or was given any opportunity to meet the President of Nigeria. I did not know the formality that was there. I came to the joint parliamentary session, Mr. Speaker, as because there was a ceremony to welcome the President. I was present. But to say, Mr. Speaker, that my actions were deliberate, Mr. Speaker, I think it's unfortunate from my friend, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I think what I said was very clear. I said, in my opinion, I did not give all the details that he gave, Mr. Speaker. I stated my opinion on what I saw from your actions, Honourable Member. I certainly did not provide the Honourable House and the public with all the details you you just furnished. But let's continue, Mr. Speaker. I think he's gotten the point, Mr. Speaker. Because the United Workers' Party, Mr. Speaker, went to great lengths to portray the president of Nigeria as an undesirable, Mr. Speaker. And that is painful, Mr. Speaker. Painful. Painful, Mr. Speaker. And the surrogates were all over Facebook, Mr. Speaker, all over social media, with all kind of memes and all kind of caricatures, Mr. Speaker, to present the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as someone who is of unwanted character and we should not have allowed to be in this country, Mr. Speaker. And worse, Mr. Speaker, when he was awarded the honorary knighthood. It made us feel, Mr. Speaker, in this country, as if we should not associate with Africa, associate with Nigeria, and associate with a leader of an African country. One of our greatest moments, Mr. Speaker, was when Nelson Mandela visited us under the leadership of the member from Beaufort South, Mr. Speaker. And I remember the opening lines of his speech that, Mr. Speaker, that Africa, 500 years ago, Africa came here in chains, Mr. Speaker, and Africa was coming back in the person of Nelson Mandela as the embodiment of freedom, Mr. Speaker. And that was a Sorry? Yes, you did. I remember it clearly. Sorry? Yeah, yes, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, you had some very inspiring moments on that occasion, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
I remember Castro South, that was in his younger days.
Yeah, but Mr. Speaker, and then again, 27 years later, we have another African head of state coming to St. Lucia. And rather than St. Lucians showing that appreciation for that connection, Mr. Speaker, they sought to denigrate it, Mr. Speaker. They wanted us to be ashamed of being associated with Africa, Mr. Speaker. That was painful, Mr. Speaker. And I'll say it, Mr. Speaker, any leader of any political party in this country who believes that colonialism had a conscience is not deserving, Mr. Speaker, of being a prime minister of this country. Because colonialism, Mr. Speaker, never had a conscience. Never did. It had no caring, no empathy, no sensitivity, nothing, Mr. Speaker. And for a leader of our country to have made a statement like this, Mr. Speaker, was quite telling. And we saw again, Mr. Speaker, the manifestation of that thinking, Mr. Speaker. And that made it hurtful to many of us, Mr. Speaker. And then it got worse, Mr. Speaker. When we announced, Mr. Speaker, that scholarships would be made available, the president made the announcement and we repeated it. And I saw this morning somebody sent me a posting by someone, and that one really struck me hard. A posting saying to St. Lucians, do not accept scholarships to go to Nigeria. That St. Lucian students should not accept it because Nigeria is such a bad place to go to. There is crime, there is this, there is that. So you're saying to young St. Lucians who might be desirous of going to the African continent to study, Mr. Speaker, to create that connection with their past, Mr. Speaker, and you're saying to them, do not accept that scholarship, Mr. Speaker. Why? Oh, because this is just a diplomatic stunt. I have sat and tried to think, Mr. Speaker, why that vicious attack on the visit of the president to St. Lucia? It couldn't be that they're racist, Mr. Speaker. It couldn't be that they're so uninformed, so ignorant of history, Mr. Speaker. And I'm wondering whether it is because they felt they must deny the Prime Minister an opportunity to show that he too is an international statesman that is respected, Mr. Speaker. Maybe it was that. Maybe it was that somehow the opposition believed that if our Prime Minister, on riding so high on the successes of his sound economic management of this country, his sound social policies, and if he added to it that he can stand tall with an international figure, Mr. Speaker, the world's largest black country, Mr. Speaker, largest economy, largest population, then it probably will make it even more difficult for them to win the elections, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, member from Strozel Southwest, it is in that context the disappointment ran deep, Mr. Speaker, that you ought to know better. I don't expect the member from Miku South to know better. It is his nature, Mr. Speaker, to denigrate Africa, denigrate any possibility of Africa rising and being progressive. That's not what I think, that's what I know. You're the one who said colonialism had a conscience. You're the one who said our patrimony is measured by our credit rating. Because that's what those things mean to you. You can never convince me that you care about this country and I care about the people of this country, especially working people of this country. Never. And I think you have a disdain for the working people, a disdain for the ordinary people. And you pull along an entire party with you. And in all the commitment and the zealousness, Mr. Speaker, they followed it, Mr. Speaker. And I hope, and I think we have conveyed to the people of Africa and to the people of Nigeria that we will work hard over the next few months to ensure that our relationship gets stronger and we can show that we can learn from Nigeria and Nigeria can learn from us. And we will make it real because it's important. And like they said, when Nigeria gets it right, Africa gets it right. And we can learn from Nigeria. But Mr. Speaker, let's move on. The honorable member from Miku South, when he started his contribution, and it caused us to take a temporary break, Mr. Speaker, said basically that a committee had met and had decided that it was going to suspend the visa-free regime for the OECS countries that have CIP programs. In effect, that's what he said. And I want the public to just understand what is happening in Europe. What is happening? Europe is in a mood where they believe, and it's not just Europe, it has happened in the United States of America and in other parts of the world, that there is a fear about immigration, there is a fear about, there's a kind of xenophobia that exists right now globally. And they believe that they need to have further clarity on their suspension mechanism for persons who they believe are abusing the visa-free regime. And, Mr. Speaker, it takes three separate components, and I want to just briefly mention them. So there one, Mr. Speaker, there are countries they believe have nationals, what they call the third countries, that are violating the regime. And therefore, they had stated the characteristics of those countries. They've expanded that group of countries. It is not only countries with citizenship by investment programs, they've expanded it. Countries that pose a threat to their internal security, countries that do not cooperate with them, countries whose visa policy is not aligned to theirs. So they have expanded that group of countries that can cause the mechanism to be triggered. And then they have looked at what it is that can trigger the mechanism. So for example, in some instances, they have thresholds. There's a base year which suggests the number. In the case of a country where their nationals are seeking asylum, there is a base year. And if a threshold, say a 40% increase over the previous year, it triggers concern because they've seen a spike in nationals from those countries seeking asylum in European countries. So they have they've broadened the countries with certain characteristics that they believe is a threat to the visa-free regime. And they see the citizenship by investment programs as a threat. And you can understand why. Because there are countries whose nationals, they require to have a visa to enter the country. And if they acquire our citizenships where no visa is required, they have the view that this is a way on which those persons can go around that provision. So they've put those countries of CBIs in that category. And then there are the actions that will trigger the mechanism. And then there is a process by which the suspension mechanism is implemented. So if your country has caused a trigger, they will then say to you, we are asking you within X amount of time to address our concerns. And if you don't address the concerns within a certain period of time, then you face a temporary suspension of visa-free regime for your country. And if you still do not do anything about it, then they will terminate it. So you virtually have a region, the EU, trying to provide clarity on the visa-free arrangements. There is no decision. There is nothing targeting countries like ours. That's wrong. That's incorrect, Mr. Speaker. But the member from Microsoft cannot be so uninformed, so lack of understanding that he believes what he says. It cannot be. Because if it is a case where he cannot understand what he reads, and Mr. Speaker, I have all the documents. I have the working document of the committee. I followed the debate that was taking place, what was being argued by the different political parties in Europe. I have the document. He can get it too. And he's supposed to have a gentleman who was a former diplomat who ought to be able. But if he cannot even understand it and he's advising him in such a way, then it really tells you about the depth of competence of that individual. Because it is, you can read it and you can follow it. So if it is that he has some level of understanding, then he's been malicious. But why is he being malicious, Mr. Speaker? Why are you trying to create panic among St. Lucians to make them believe that last weekend a decision was taken to suspend our visa-free access to Europe? Why are you doing it? And it always comes back to that question. And it always has the same answer, that he has become so desperate, Mr. Speaker, to become Prime Minister once again, that he will do any and everything he can to destroy this country, destroy our reputation, destroy our sense of identity, destroy our consciousness, and therefore provide him with a pathway to becoming Prime Minister once again. But St. Lucians will remember who he is and what he did. And today he started on some libiwa about, are you better now than you were when he was Prime Minister? I leave it to the Prime Minister to point out, Mr. Speaker, and at the right time all of us will do it. What we have achieved in 4 years, Mr. Speaker, to show that this country is better off than it has ever been under his leadership. Does he honestly want to ask that question? COVID was a total mess up, Mr. Speaker. And even before COVID, and we were just arguing it, the statistics show that the economy was already in decline. And the only reason why the economy showed some growth is because there were 2 major hotels that closed down in the latter years of the Kenya Anthony administration. The largest hotel in St. Lucia, when Royalton was being built. So therefore, St. Lucia lost a significant number of rooms, and tourist arrivals were affected. And that affects the global figures. In the early year of his administration, both the Royalton Open and the Harbour Club Open, significantly increasing the number of tourist rooms available. So in 2019, which was the golden year for global travel, St. Lucia had the highest arrivals until 2024, when that figure was surpassed. What are you talking about? Stay over arrivals in 2024 was the highest it has ever been in the history of this country. And if you want to stand here and deny that, then you are a lunatic. But let me go on. Let me go on. It's in the data. It's all over the world. Everybody can see it. You want to deny it? So, Mr. Speaker, so in the early part of his administration, 2016 to 2018, there was some growth because of the new rooms coming on the market. But by 2019, despite those new rooms, the economy had declined over 2018. And of course, the work that had been started by the Kenya Anthony administration was bearing fruit, Mr. Speaker. So, what can one say, Mr. Speaker? That he is determined, Mr. Speaker, determined to destroy the reputation of this country, to destroy the possibilities of this country, Mr. Speaker. And there is no better place you can see it than in the Citizenship by Investment program. Listen to him, Mr. Speaker. He says that the Citizenship by Investment program in St. Lucia has a terrible reputation, that there's so much talk about it. He created the talk about it. He said it. He made newspapers all over the world quote him. And you know, I said to the Prime Minister, somebody sent me a message from a newspaper overseas and said to me, I will send those points and ask if I can write an article about St. Lucia according to those points. And the person wanted me to tell them whether or not there's any truth in it. And it pointed squarely to what they were doing. They were trying to influence international opinion, cause newspapers all over the world to write the worst things about St. Lucia. And then he says, look at everywhere they're saying bad things about St. Lucia. But you are the ones that are perpetuating it, encouraging it, and then you want to quote it. Like he tried to do today. He wants to quote a newspaper article that they themselves influence the writing. No international partner has ever written to us about any complaints about the CIP in St. Lucia. None.
Member Castro South. Member from Eco South.
The member is misleading House. There's no article that he can point to suggest that we have any influence. The article I showed you was from IMI. I guarantee you, I have no influence on anybody in my party has any influence over IMI. No one. And I'd like him to withdraw that statement because it's totally false.
Member for Castro South.
Mr. Speaker, you know, if I can prove what? That you influenced the article on IMI? I never mentioned IMI.
That's the article. That's the article I showed you.
But you never showed it to me. So I don't even know what article you're talking about. No, I didn't see no article from you. I saw articles that I had of my own. I didn't see your IMI article. I'm repeating what I'm saying. You are making statements in press conferences so it can influence regional and international newspapers to write stories about St. Lucia. And I'm saying you are also using connections to cause people to publish articles about St. Lucia. I want you to deny that one. And then quote from that very article. That's the one I want you to deny. But let me continue. Can I continue? I'm coming back to you. So, Mr. Speaker, so he does that. No international partner, not the US, not the UK, not the EU. When he started about Martinez, the Prime Minister traveled to Brussels to ask the EU, are there problems with St. Lucia because we've been collaborating with you? You've had no complaints. All we have got is commendations. And they said to the Prime Minister to his face, we don't have problems in St. Lucia. We don't even know where those stories are coming from. And the Prime Minister is there. He reported to this Honorable House and he said it. But yet they were saying otherwise because they want newspapers to carry bad stories about St. Lucia. Listen to the member today. And maybe he should have asked the question, I can explain to him. He says he's worried about the donation because the donation option has been decimated. He said so. You heard that? You heard that, Mr. Speaker? So in 2022-2023, there were 213 applications for donation. In 2023-2024, for which this report speaks, there were 403. How do you move from 213 in 2022-23 to 403 and you are decimated? No, that's not the point. That's not the point. You stood up, you made a statement that the donation is decimated, but you could have asked a simple question. And it just shows you how you don't even understand what you're involved in. What he read was that the income from donations had declined. But what he did not even reason was that the number of donations granted, and I can tell you in 2022-23 there were 213 applications. There were 203 granted, so you received money for 203. In 2023-24 you got 403 applications, but only 80 granted. So less were granted because there were so many applications being processed. The applications declined, so your revenue declined. Not that it's decimated, it's actually improving. But the number of applications that were granted declined, so your revenue declined. But he's going to stand here, and you can read it. I don't even have to open it and refer to it because I know what's in there. But he has no understanding. He's just making statements because he just wants...
From Eco South.
The member challenged me, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to say again, I can only go by what the report he has. And if I can quote the report, Mr. Speaker, it says monetary donations to the National Economic Fund underperformed compared to the prior year by 60%, or 7.2 million, at the success of the real estate option. Over the past 2 years, the program has seen a decline in transactions towards this investment option, with real estate being more the dominant option.
But how does that tie in with the word that you use, decimated?
Because the numbers are down considerably.
Decimated means the numbers are
Mr.
down?
Speaker.
No, but I just gave the
Decimated,
numbers
Mr.
have
Speaker.
increased.
But what I can only go by the numbers he has.
No, but remember, clear, you do understand words. Decimate
Speaker.
and reduction are the same?
Are the same.
Wow.
No, but Mr.
Decimated.
Speaker, can I explain to you then? Have a seat, have a seat. Let me just explain to you. Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you.
No, why is it not here?
Can I explain?
Why are the numbers not here?
Can I explain to
You're
you?
required to provide the numbers.
Can I
Why would you
explain
be
to you?
dismissed?
Can you sit and let me explain
Remember,
to you?
there is a process in asking questions.
Can I explain to you? If in 1 year you have 200 donation, you have 1,000 real estate. The following year you have 400 donation, which is an increase, but you have 5,000 real estate applications. You say you recognize that the preference seems to have tilted towards real estate than donation. But although donation has increased, the percentage of the overall has declined because you have so many more of real estates. No? That makes sense? But you're supposed to be an economist. You're supposed to be an economist. No, he says he's an economist, a development economist, Mr. Speaker. You cannot even understand basic concepts. But can I move on, Mr. Speaker?
How can that be? How can you have the number of applications up and the revenues down? We're not even talking about
Because revenue is determined by how many you grant. When you grant citizenship, they make their donation. So you may get more applications, but if you have not given, no, you're not stopping me this time. No, I'm going to continue my presentation.
Remember, what is the point of order?
You had of understanding.
Members misleading the House,
Mr. Speaker.
Mr.
What is the
Speaker,
point of order?
I am not
Members
misleading.
misleading the House, Mr.
There's
Speaker.
no misleading in
What is the point of order?
Because the information that the member is providing is wrong. Can I
That's
say
the
that?
point of order?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. How can you say that because there was more applications but were not approved? I'm supposed to believe, and anybody in St. Lucia is supposed to believe, that you're getting a donation of $100,000. You're going to ignore that application to go and get an administrative fee of $30,000? That
Again,
makes any
Mr.
sense, Mr.
Speaker.
Speaker?
Remember,
The member
How does
from
that make sense?
the member from Miko
Member-
How
South
does that make sense?
has no
If that,
understanding.
Member
then you're
Castro
complete-
Can I
South-
explain to you again,
Can you
Honorable
proceed, Member Castro
Can I
South?
explain to you? Now I see why your party is in crisis and you have this country in crisis. You don't understand basic concepts. Let me explain to you. When somebody applies, there is a process by which they go through to get approval. There is a process. Not because you got 300 or 400 applications in that year, all 400 applications will be granted. It doesn't happen that way. There's a process of due diligence verification that you go through. Now, if you get so many more real estate before you get donation is considered after, because those ahead of you go ahead in the process. It doesn't mean because you got 400 and free applications, all of them will be approved in that year. It doesn't mean that. I don't think you understand those basic things. So let's move on. So Mr. Speaker, he wants the CIP to fail, Mr. Speaker. He wants it to fail, Mr. Speaker. So there's a court case. There'll be a hearing on July the 15th, Mr. Speaker. He's asking the court to grant an injunction to stop the program, Mr. Speaker. So I won't say much more on this, Mr. Speaker. Sorry? Mr. Speaker, so I believe that after July 15th, we will have, Mr. Speaker, a proper report on all what's going on, Mr. Speaker. Because you have accused me a lot, you've accused the Prime Minister, you have accused the board, the unit, Mr. Speaker, and all the truth will come out, Mr. Speaker. So I'm not saying much about the case. The time will come, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Miko
when-
South.
Mr. Speaker, the member is misleading the House. The member
did I say?
said that I'm injuncting the program. I'm not injuncting the program. The application is to prevent any issuance of citizenship under the infrastructure program. Big difference. And if we're going to get into semantics in this House, then I would expect him to say it, to withdraw the statement, and to say it the right way. That we've applied for an injunction to prevent the issuance of any citizenships under the infrastructure program, and he knows why. And the same government has injuncted themselves so far.
All right, so
They've
Mr.
attempted
Speaker,
to
so
now
let me-
do what,
can
Mr.
I-
Speaker?
can I answer
They've
this?
suspended and terminated the program, even though Galaxy
Remember,
has
your
not
point of
agreed.
order
Speaker.
is Your point
Okay,
of order is
you want me to
that
be a little
you're
more
not.
specific.
I said,
Yes.
But can I-
No, I'm repeating it.
I'm saying what we've injuncted is.
I'm trying to put it to the floor. Your point of order is that contrary to what the leader of government business has said, the injunction is not to stop the CIP program, but to injunct a section relating to infrastructure citizenship.
Okay, let me be more specific. He wants to injunct me as minister from granting citizenships to persons under the infrastructure option. And the law, I cannot grant citizenship. I cannot grant citizenships. But let's not get more specific, Mr. Speaker. It will be decided in court on the 15th of July, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, the point I want to make, Mr. Speaker, withdraw what? Okay, let me satisfy your ego. Okay? Yeah, your ego. So you want me to say that I withdraw it. After you've been made to withdraw about 6 comments for today. So you feel bruised and battered. Yeah, you feel bruised and battered. You must learn to be a man, huh? You must learn to be a man. But leave that for another day. Let me say something to you. No, I will withdraw it, I tell you. I have no problems in making you feel good this afternoon. You've been battered enough for today. Yeah, I tell you already, you must learn to be a man. Take it like a man. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let me say to you, if you want me to say that you did not injunct the whole program, but you just want to injunct me as minister not to grant citizenship under the infrastructure option, that's fine. But you want this government to fail, and you want the CIP to fail. Because he believes if the infrastructure option goes ahead, and we have enough resources to repair all the roads in St. Lucia, repair all the public infrastructure in St. Lucia, at least I know for a fact Cicero will get a new health center, a new community center, a new adult care center. I am sure the member for Grosile will get his roads in Corinth, because you are the one stopping it. Because of you, he cannot get all his roads in Corinth repaired. In Labon, in Corinth, Mr. Speaker. Because of you. It's because of you. You know, all the roads in Banon cannot get repaired. You know, because of you, Mr. Speaker. And that's what you intend on doing, Mr. Speaker. And then I have to speak a bit about GPH, Mr. Speaker. But I want to present a statement to the House, a minister's statement. Because the more I dig into it, let me tell you, I said it earlier, evil thinks what evil does. So most times the leader of the opposition says something, you have to dig deep behind what he says, because it meant he either did it or he intended to do it. He opens the door. All you have to do is listen to him. So the more he criticized GPH, is the more I dug into the research. I went deep, deep down, Mr. Speaker. And I love to do research. And the things I found out about him and the Castries ports and what he planned to do, Mr. Speaker, let me tell you, it's frightening. I've not even given the Prime Minister the file that I've put together yet, including in 2018, I have a contract that was signed by a contractor to build a fisherman's village in Banon. $4.something million. I'm not mentioning nobody's name inside there. I'm not mentioning it. And listen to that. A memo, a report was prepared. That first memo that came to cabinet for us to discuss, to approve the arrangements for GPH, Slasper had already agreed with GPH on an agreement for the Castries port. I have it. I will make it a document of the House. And it came to cabinet, and cabinet did not approve it and asked that a committee be set up. And I can read if you want. You want me to read what it is that was agreed with GPH before? No, I will give the relevant parts, because I will tell St. Lucians what it is that you all were agreeing to with GPH. And when we saw it, we said that's not good enough. Go and improve upon it. That's what happened. And I will read it and present it and make him a document of this House. And you know also what happened? When the member for Castries North traveled with you, and I have a copy of the letter, Mr. Speaker, traveled with you, and you abandoned him in the hotel and you left. You know, Mr. Speaker, The gentleman actually wrote a letter to him. It was a great pleasure to meet you on June 28th here at our premises in Geneva. I truly enjoyed your presentation and the incredible vision you shared with us about the developments you envisage for your country. Now, he's a marketer. He's a man who tried to sell ice to the Eskimos. You know, he's a real snake-oil salesman. So he presented his grand vision, Mr. Speaker. It's addressed to dear Honorable Chastney. But, Mr. Speaker, before you ask me to make it a document at the House, I'm not prepared yet to make it a document at the House. But, Mr. Speaker, that letter on June 28th, and he abandoned the senior minister, and he left. And he went and meet. No, I will when I'm ready.
There is nothing,
Mr. Speaker, I will.
There is nothing he must
That's
do
just
today.
a teaser.
The minister has stated he will make a full ministerial
Cool.
statement.
I'll present. So he is meeting with DSH, and DSH is presenting plans for Site C. Mr. Speaker,
Remember,
can I continue?
remember, he has requested of me not to present it at this point in time.
So, Mr. Speaker, can I continue? Right. So whilst he is speaking to one cruise line, he's speaking to DSH.
No, I wouldn't have bought administrator in the room.
Yeah. So, Mr. Speaker, he abandoned the senior minister and he flew out. And so, when the senior minister had not seen him and called his room and asked where he is, and nobody answered, the senior minister went to the front desk and asked, well, is he there? They said, no, he had checked out already. He checked out on the senior minister and left him in the room. You know, and he took another flight, Mr. Speaker. And you know what was also, I have in my possession, can you imagine your prime minister taking you to meetings with him? And he just leave you down. And he changed his flight and he gone to go and speak to another set of cruise lines. But that's what he does. You know, he's making promises to a number of different persons. Because I have in my possession, you abandon the senior minister. Senior minister wake up morning waiting to have breakfast with him and he not turn it up. But he found out that he already moved out. So, Mr. Speaker, no, but senior minister said it. It wasn't. Why you, senior minister? Ask him. He'll give you the details. He'll be a lot more graphic than me. But anyway, Mr. Speaker. So whilst he is, and I have in my possession a document, a term sheet that was submitted by GPH and another cruise line. You know, their conditions for the development of Port Castries. About 5 days later, he's in Puerto Rico at the FCCA signing an agreement with Royal Caribbean and Carnival Corporation. Can you imagine that? You're negotiating with two entities, discussing, they send you the term sheet, what you all will agree upon, and meanwhile, a few days later, you sign in an MOU in Puerto Rico with another agency. Meanwhile, yeah, I can tell you the dates. You want me to tell you the dates? So, meanwhile, DSH is submitting their plans for Site C by El Pirata, Cocodon area, to put a cruise port right there. Right? You remember that? So you had about discussions and promises with 3 different entities. Or two different. So that's how he was operating. But meanwhile, somebody has a contract to develop Banon's Bay. And I want you to tell us why it was never implemented. Because you just the what? Cabinet did not approve it. We can search cabinet documents and there's no cabinet conclusion where it was not approved. So, but you know what is interesting, and I want this house to do, and I want to do it, is to compare what was on the table and what we have now. Because he had his surrogates posting on Facebook every day. How much SLASPA made today, how much GPH made today. And I will show you the difference between what we got and what you were prepared to give up. What you were prepared to give up. Cabinet rejected what y'all had on the table. And I will make the report from the technical officers. The committee was chaired by Mr. Philip Dalsu. I believe you have a serious lack of understanding. So, but I want to come back to Banon because I want to come back to Banon. So, listen to this. So they had a contractor who was going to, and you know, at the same time that contract was signed, the people of Banon called me because they saw he came there with about 10 police officers, high command. I have the picture. I took out the picture. I took out the picture. But can I why you just interrupt me like that?
The member is misleading the House. I remember specifically the day that I went to Banans with police officers, and it was not for Banans. It was to remove the containers that were on the side of the road. It was over a Christmas period, Mr. Speaker. Had nothing to do with any development events. I've never gone to Banans to tell the people to move. I've never offered the people in Banans $2,500 to move. Had no involvement. The police were there. All the containers, Mr. Speaker, that were on that road and going up the Millennium Highway, that were a disaster waiting to happen, and that is why the police officers were there. And the members should know that because he was across the street at the time.
Oh, you saw me?
Of course I saw you.
Now, do you want me to quote what you told the media on that day? Because you said how the people out there, and I saw, and they need to be cleaned up. You said it, but you were not there for that. You were there because of trucks along the road. So let me continue. But I'll read out everything when I make my statement to the House. So he then decides that this area has to be cleaned up because it's an eyesore. It's the first thing people see on cruise ships when they get into the harbor, and the last thing they see. All of that he said. But it was not for that area you was there, but for truckers. So fast forward. The Labour Party, in fact, in May 2016, I had a post on my Facebook page saying that he had signed an agreement with Royal Caribbean in 2008. 2008. And it did not include Banon. Under a St. Lucia Labour Party government, we will redevelop the place. 2016, May, before the elections. But we lost in June. And he took over. And he felt he was going to remove the people from there. So now we've reached a point where, as part of the GPH agreement, we need to redevelop the area. And SLASPA is responsible for addressing the issue of the persons who live there. I have deliberately stayed out of it. Deliberately. Because it's SLASPA's land, their responsibility, and they're one of the contracting parties. And all I have said to them is to be fair and reasonable to the people. Be fair and reasonable to people. And I've said to the residents, if they have any issues, any concerns, they can always come to me. And I have posted on my page a meeting with the residents, explaining to them that the development is coming. SLASPA has been engaged with residents for almost 2 years on this matter. Discussions with residents, and the attempt now to finally get the residents, to more comfortable conditions and whatnot, and to clear the area so the work can start. In comes the United Workers' Party, and they bring in their proposed candidate, and I don't know if he's already approved. Maybe the member from Strozal Saltibus can tell me, Tommy Descartes, and I heard the member from Labrie quote him as an economist, and and his big economic theory. One thing I've said to people, I am not quoting no economic theory. All I know is just practice. How to make people's lives better. When I'm in a classroom or in an academic setting, I can read all the texts, I can study it, and I can voice and song, like some big economists as well. But there's no need to do that. My task, my mission is to make the lives of ordinary people in my constituency better. And that's the only economics I know. The only economics. So Tommy can quote all his authorities and all his sources and whatnot. That means nothing when it comes to making the lives of people better. It means nothing. And if he wants to knock heads with his leader to show who's a better economist, or whether he and Titus and all of them, who is the best economist, that's their business. I'm not getting involved in that. In any case, I believe I have the best economist and financial manager on my side already. I don't need to listen to him. Because Tommy Descartes had never been to Banon before in his life. Never been. Never, ever been. The first time he came there was when y'all sent him to go in there and cause problems. Tell the people, do not move. And now they have squatters' rights. They've been there for 30 years. But if he had been there before, he would have known who came in the last 2 years, who came in the last 5 years, who came in the last 15 years. But he's never been there before. He would have known that there's only one person with running water inside there. There are only about 5 people with electricity, and there are about 60-something structures in there. 60-something. He would have known which structures are empty, which are used for particular purposes, which are used for storage. He would know everything. He would know. But he has no connection, no knowledge, but he is sent to go and cause problems. And then, do you know what they did? They asked all the residents to come to a fancy hotel up north. And the leader of the opposition, favorite lawyer, you know, his chambers is representing the residents now, because the new yardstick for moving squatters is Marjorie, $1 million. And saying to the residents that they should be getting $1 million. Yeah. That's what, he said it. Yeah.
Plus land.
Plus land. And he actually said so in a press conference. The leader of the opposition would say in a press conference that the new yardstick for removing squatters is Marjorie, which is $1 million. But he says that. And they send Tommy Descat, who is a nice guy. To be honest with you, when I first met Tommy, I had just become a candidate. He spoke to me well. You know, he told me, I think he was president of Seagulls then, Cicero Seagulls, and he's a nice young man. I don't know how he'll survive in this politics. I mean, if you take a look at the member from Strozel Saltibus who said he was not a politician, according to the member from Larry, he moved from having an afro to having a ponytail in politics. So it tells you the effect politics can have on you. But Tommy will soon learn that you must not follow the dictates and the dictum of Alan Chasney. You will pay a bitter price for that. Say that, sorry? Why would I say that? You see, because there are individuals who, although they may be ideological and philosophical on the other side, but they still have a certain sense of decency and decorum in them. They have a sense of sincerity. There are some of them. I believe Bradley, you know, has a sense. Yeah. But when you look at, you know, but when you decide you're going to follow the Alan Chasney doctrines, you are going to become an individual who's lost. You will have no purpose, no mission in this. No, it's sorry? Or you will, no, strongly you will be abandoned or left behind like senior minister was. You know, you cannot follow Alan Chasney in politics. And then when your deputy leader is Guy Joseph. Now let me tell you about Tommy Descat and Guy Joseph. Because Tommy Descat was moved to the Ministry of Economic Development as a young economist. In the shortest possible time, I think about 2 years or so, he became chief economist. And the Guy Joseph. Just think about that. And he was the chief advisor to Alan Chasney on COVID economic responses. But he's a very noted economist. Trust me, if you ever had him, you probably would have been a success. But Tommy Descat was the one advising Alan Chasney on the COVID response. So can you imagine that? And Guy Joseph was his minister. Guy Joseph was his minister. Now the same Tommy Descat who was telling people in Cicero, do not vote for Big Daddy, because a vote for Big Daddy is a vote for Guy Joseph. He's now telling people to vote for him. And guess who's in church with him on Sunday at Benedict? The same Guy Joseph. But it just tells you how this thing goes wrong. But let's come back to it. So he then says, that, I've told him, the PS of Economic Development is Paul Hilaire. He has a degree in economics, he has a master's in econometrics. You know, he's been in the public service, he worked in the Department of Economic Development as a young economist. And so he is, but you retired. And like the member from Southeast told you, that the only way you can be where you are is to buy yourself a seat. So let's get back on course. So he says, and they asked the young man about relocating individuals, and he said, under the United Workers' Party, there is a distinguished record of relocating people. Now, as a member from Vieux Fort South, what happened to the farmers who were displaced because of DSH? How did you treat them? How did you treat them? The member from Beaufort South had to take up the case, and there's still one outstanding. Because I saw a letter from you recently representing somebody who still the person is still trying to get redress for how he was treated during the United Workers' Party under your leadership. One of the farmers who were in Beaufort, one of them left. One left still to be settled. And that's how you treated them. And then Tommy says you will distinguish. And he says how they moved people from Conway to Monkey Tongue and they were so well treated. Really? And I asked him, he was the president of Seagulls, go and find out why volleyball in Cicero died. Do some research. Do some research. So, very soon, Mr. Speaker, I will make a comprehensive presentation.
Remember, you have 10 minutes.
Yeah, comprehensive presentation on GPH to this Honorable House. But you see, what we are doing here today is to make a loud statement to the people of St. Lucia that we will continue to work in your best interest. In your best interest, always. And we have a long list of action that we have taken to ensure that our people, citizens of St. Lucia, can best respond to the rising prices that they face. We've done it by enacting a minimum wage to make sure that persons at the lowest level can have more disposable income. We did it also by taking thousands of persons off the tax list. They don't have to pay tax anymore. Over 3,000 persons no longer have to pay tax, Mr. Speaker. More disposable income in their pockets. Thousands of St. Lucians who are on contract in the public service will now be made permanent, Mr. Speaker. Job security. Mr. Speaker, teachers in the month of August who are temporary teachers will get a salary, Mr. Speaker. Pensioners got increases, Mr. Speaker. Public servants got a bonus in December, Mr. Speaker. Because we understand that as we manage this economy better, as the economy is generating more revenue, some of it must go back to the people. It is why we signed off on the industrial agreement with the unions, Mr. Speaker. It is why, and I heard a member from Social Saltiba said, or was it the leader of the opposition, all those things were decided before. And we just came in and we just signed the agreements, Mr. Speaker. Can you believe that? All of that is because we care about the working people of this country, Mr. Speaker. And this action today, to put 70 items, plus all fruits and vegetables, with no VAT, Mr. Speaker, no VAT, is because we care about the people. We've done our part. We have made sure we've removed the VAT, and therefore the prices must immediately be reduced. We have done our part. The retailers must also do their part, Mr. Speaker. And the public must help us to make sure that they report to us if retailers are not reducing the price. We will have our own mechanism to monitor the price change. But they must help us. There must be a demonstration of people's power. If your government is working for you, removing the taxes so you will get cheaper products, and if you find out retailers are not doing it, let us know, so we can take action to make sure that they reduce the prices. Because we care about people, Mr. Speaker. We care about the capacity of our people facing hardship to respond to those hardships, Mr. Speaker. It is why we spend so much money on food vouchers, Mr. Speaker. It is why we spend so much money on back-to-school support, why we pay CXC subjects, why we pay facilities fees, Mr. Speaker. Because we want to help ordinary people face the demands, Mr. Speaker. Because that's who we are. That's who we are. And I've said to them, Mr. Speaker, no Tommy Descat, no Alan Chastain, none of them can lecture us on how to treat people properly, how to care for people. Because that's in our DNA. That's who we are. We know about putting people first, not you. Did you forget what you said during COVID? The lack of empathy? Do you know? Maybe you just said it, Mr. Speaker. We are the party that put people first. We are the party in managing this economy made sure it was stabilized, made sure we built a strong foundation, and it's starting, Mr. Speaker, to grow and prosper. And we're going to make sure that the people benefit in the prosperity that is coming in this country, Mr. Speaker, because that's who we are. It's our DNA, Mr. Speaker. And all the leader of the opposition care about is destroying this country as a pathway to become the Prime Minister once again, Mr. Speaker. So I'm proud, Mr. Speaker, to be supporting this motion. And I end by applauding the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, for making that bold pronouncement that once the economy had reached that period of strength, he was going to do this. And he said it from day one. I think he probably mentioned it even before he became Prime Minister, that the day he felt the economy had stabilized and the foundations had been set, he was going to do it to benefit the people of St. Lucia. Because if the United Workers' Party wanted to do it, the best time to have done it was during COVID. That's when people were suffering the most. And they had promised to remove that in entirety. And then you should have done it then. So do not come now and pretend that it's only been done now and should have been done a long time ago. You should have done it during COVID. And you did not do it. So don't tell us how to care for people. We know how to care for people. And this is a demonstration that we care about people. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.